one.
Yeah. Yeah, I got drill bits from you for Father's Day.
That's a pretty good gift.
Yeah, it was a good gift. I needed the ones he got me.
Yeah, I think we'll scratch it.
Yes, I did see that, but then I went right to that afterwards.
Don't want to talk about it. Going down the lake.
All right. Good evening. 7 o'clock. Welcome to the June 18th DeSoto City Council meeting. We'll start tonight with roll call.
Lane,
Here.
Hanamichael,
Here.
Daniels,
Here.
McBrien,
Here.
all are present.
All right. I would invite you all to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item tonight is our consent agenda. Tonight on the consent agenda, we have approve the minutes from the June 5th City Council meeting, approve pay ordinance number 999, approve donation request from the DeSoto Food Pantry, approve task order 11 with BG Consultants for Lexington Avenue Sidewalk Project, and approve permit for the DHS Homecoming Parade. Is there any item anyone would wish to remove from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to remove item D so that we can have a discussion over the schedule associated with that. And ask if we can put it on the new business as before the budget discussion. So.
Okay. Anything else? All right, then.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
Okay. We have a motion to, oh, sorry, I need a second.
I'll second as amended.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, moving item D to ahead of item 4G. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
McBrien,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. All right, next item is call to public. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to comment about any matter relating to city business not listed on tonight's agenda. The comments that are discussed under call to public may or may not be acted on by the council during this meeting. There's a 4-minute time limit. Does anyone wish to address the council under call to public? All right, I'm not seeing any takers. Item 3 is old business, and we don't have it. So we'll go on to item 4A, consider task order 25-01 with PEC for the 2025 overlay program. Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this task order 2501 is for PEC to finalize our 2025 mill and overlay program. They did the same task last year and did well. They've already done a little bit of work on it. So we're anticipating approval of this to have them move forward to finalize the maps and construction documents. And hopefully by mid-July, we'll have it out the door for bid. So I'm here to answer any questions. On the list, it includes the streets of Cedar Creek from 83rd to the city limits, and then 84 Terrace cul-de-sac off of off of it.
All right, any questions for city engineer on the,
So is this mill and overlay or overlay?
This will go out for contract for bid.
Is it a mill and overlay or is it an overlay?
So Cedar Creek will be just an overlay.
Okay.
84 Terrace will be a little bit overlay and a mill and overlay. All of the 84 Terrace is concrete curbs, so we'll replace the curbs they're shot and then do a edge mill and then overlay the cul-de-sac and then come out and probably do anywhere from a 2 to 1 to 1.5 inch overlay as we tie into the driveways. Most of them are asphalt. There are a couple of concretes which we will mill so we can match into the concrete drives.
Okay.
any other questions? Ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve task order 25-01 in the amount of $29,750 and authorize the city administrator to execute for the 2025 overlay program.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
McNary,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Honamichael.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Item B, consider proposal with Sasoya and Sons for the construction for the Commerce Drive streetlight project.
Mayor, thank you. Yeah, so this is one of the items listed in the capital improvement program is to install streetlights along Commerce from Lexington, circle around to Lexington. There's a map within the write-up that shows you the location of streetlights. So we worked with BG and Evergy to kind of put the plans together to make it easy and simple for Evergy to install the lights. As part of the requirements to do this, since it'll be Evergy lights, we have to install the conduits and then the bases for one transformer and 2 other pads to provide electricity for the lights. So what we did is Evergy gave me a list of contractors that do their work, and Society being one of them. The other one that I reached out to 3 of them, but I got 2 quotes back, one from Society, the other one from Schultz Construction. You can see that the one bid was $103,000, the other was $164,000. So our recommendation is go with Society to put in the conduit and the pads, and once that's complete, then we will work with Evergy to schedule the installation of the streetlights that they will install.
Okay. Any questions for Joe on this item? Ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the cost proposal from Sasoya and Sons Construction in the amount of $103,275. Authorize the city administrator to execute for the purpose of installing conduits and transformer pad for streetlights along Commerce Drive.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? Roll call, please.
Honamichael,
Yes.
McNary,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Item C, consider ordinance 2655 rezoning 8550 Kill Creek Road from RO to R1A.
All right, thank you, Mayor. What you have before you is a request to change from RO residential suburban to R1A. As I noted in my staff report, this will be our first, if approved, first R1A district in the city of DeSoto. Interestingly, this tract has been vacant for quite some time. It's adjacent to the duplexes that are to the south that are also that are zoned C2, which is a little odd. Across the street is R1 zoning, which is single-family homes, and then to the west is the golf course. So this track has existed for some time. It's very steep in the back third, but there is a fairly flat area along the frontage of Kill Creek Road, and the applicant is taking advantage of the R1A because of the reduced setbacks. So it's not because they're trying to pack in lots or do anything along those lines, but the reduced setbacks will allow them to use it to their advantage, the flatter areas of the property itself. So that's why this whole rezoning request has been made. So you can see the tract under consideration shows that tree line where things start to drop off fairly quickly down towards the golf course. Just running through quickly the compatibility factors. And once again, the Planning Commission did review this and recommended approval of this change to R1A. Generally, the area is single-family residential with the duplexes to the south. As I mentioned, the golf course is to the west. This request would be for a single-family home. That's the only thing that's allowed in the R1A district, so it would fit within the overall context of the neighborhood. Suitability, which the property's been restricted under its existing uses. The reason, as I mentioned, the RO district has 50-foot setbacks on the front and 25 on the side, which really makes this tract unbuildable under those current standards. Length of time the property's remained vacant. It's been vacant since I've been with the city of DeSoto and has been this way for quite some time. Extent to which there's a need within this community, one house and one rezoning. It's not a big change, and so there's no particular need, but it is an opportunity to use a tract that is basically undevelopable and making it into a tract that could be used. The lot is over 1 acre and can have a septic system. In fact, I think this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, the applicant did do a soil test with our building official group. I think Drew was out there, and I've not heard the results of that, but they are planning to move forward if the R1A zoning is approved. Staff finds no adverse effect to the street network with this. It'd just be one curb cut and one residential unit that would be on Kill Creek Road. Don't see any environmental impacts with this. Also don't see a significant change in any of the economic issues surrounding this change either. Don't see any detrimental effects to nearby properties, as the surrounding areas are residential in their nature, even though the zoning to the south is commercial C2. This is consistent with the comprehensive plan, which shows a lot of large lot development in this area, and this would be a tract that is over 1 acre. So the city staff did recommend approval to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission recommends approval to the City Council to rezone the tract to R1A based on the conditions in the staff report. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you all may have.
All right. Questions from council?
Are the duplexes on sewer or septic, the ones next to it?
They are on septic.
Okay.
Will this have to be platted, or is it a buildable site without platting upon rezoning?
They shouldn't have to plat this property. It does, I've checked it. Now, once again, they're gonna have to do some interesting layout for the house itself. But they can fit it in there without too much effort based on the R1A zoning, which reduces those side yard setbacks to 5 feet on. And that's really the key, is that, as you can see where the tract is lined up, that southern line gives them a lot of flat space where they can build the house, but also, from what I understand, that's where they're going to also want to put the septic, is that area there.
And then I think it was one of the planning commissioners asked a question, I don't remember who, and I don't know that we really got to the answer. They asked about future right-of-way for Kill Creek Road. Is that something we would want to look at? We certainly want to look at it before they site a house.
Yeah, the one thing that came up was if you look at Johnson County Ames and where Kill Creek is built and where the track lines are, it almost shows it's right on the curb line where the property line is. So I would, as part of the plot plan that they have to turn in, would help show some of those things. And maybe we could have
I think that-
Cameron or Drew just say, hey, you need to show us where this exact right-of-way line is. And,
Sure. I mean, I just like extra space for,
yeah,
future
we've talked about
widening
a
or
sidewalk.
Or, you know, and I just, we don't want to.
Well, they will have to
create a
build a
situation where
sidewalk
we
with
limit-
their house, so that'll be kind of a interesting stretch,
I
but,
think the one thing to keep in mind, there's kind of a distinction between parcels that existed
okay.
in 1998 or newer, and then thereafter. We kind of had a zoning reg overhaul at that time. And so some of the platting requirements, this is a tract that existed in 1998. So if they didn't happen to need a rezoning, they could have just gone into the building inspector, gotten the building permit, so there wouldn't be a platting requirement. There wouldn't necessarily be this requirement that we sometimes have with lot splits and other things of granting additional right-of-way. So some of those things don't really come up in kind of in this context. And so this is kind of a rezone. So it's a little strange. We might need to look at it and you know, just look at our regs and see if it's still appropriate to have this grandfathering. But there's not a lot split. It's not a reparceling. There's no parcel lines. So it didn't really trigger some of those considerations.
Yeah, it's just whether or not it's required by the, I think as we go forward, even if we acquire the right of way in the future for a project, just make sure that when they're siting a building on that,
Yeah,
they have
right.
in consideration that there may be a trail or something
Yeah.
there, or sidewalk, or Brad says, I guess the sidewalk might be required with the house built on a single new permits.
Yeah.
Maybe all right, just a point to get in the record for you and Joe to, when they bring the building plan, permit plan in, assuming the rezoning passes, that we look at that right-of-way need. Any other questions from council? Are we ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 2655, providing for the amendment of the DeSoto official zoning map for 8550 Kill Creek Road to be changed from R0 residential suburban district to R1A residential moderate density district.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Walker,
Yes.
McMarine,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Item 4D and 4E, the applicant has requested that we table these items till our July 3rd meeting. So if there's no objection from council,
I'll make a motion, we table items 4D and 4E to the July 3rd meeting.
I'll second.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, so we're going to take these up at July 3rd. I apologize if you're in the audience, you came for these items. You'll get to come to DeSoto again. So. Item 4F, consider proposals for fence and driveway restorations at 35300 West 95th Street.
Yes, council, you might remember back in October, we had a brief discussion and council authorized some funding for restorations of a fence at two properties along 95th Street, this property and one further east of this address. At the time, it was explained that there were three projects that were kind of going on simultaneously. We had Evergy doing the power line installations. We had Panasonic's contractor installing the public water main that is essentially the city's sewer main, excuse me. And then we had the gas company installing the gas main all along the north side of 95th Street, between Lexington Avenue and Sunflower Road. And as a result of the overlap of responsibilities there, we became more involved in making sure that the site restorations got taken care of among the many different entities involved, and it kind of as a result of that, and also as a result of our desire not to replace fences within the existing right-of-way, but rather to move those fences back to the newly established or the previous right-of-way line, we took over kind of responsibility of some of those fence relocations. And the biggest one was at this address, the Jansen Stables address, 35300. At the time, you authorized an amount of $26,000, just over $26,000. And shortly thereafter, Jansen requested that we not implement that solution at that time, that there was still some negotiations going on with Evergy. And then we've since learned several months later that we did want to move forward with those relocations, but we also had some other discussion with them about exactly what needed to be restored and how it needed to be done and the type of fencing that needed to be put back in place to make it, again, a functional, restore its functionality as it was before. So the result was an increase in pricing. We have 3 bids, and I've got a layout there in your packet that kind of shows the intent. The red fencing there would be a steel rail fence. There's also a driveway restoration that needs to take place, and some other corner fence posts and some gating. I received 3 bids for the proposal. A couple of them were up around $60,000, and the least cost proposal was from RKC Wood Care Pros for $50,800. Like your approval to move forward with that. When we approved the initial $26,000 back in October, I'm sorry, it was $23,000 back in October, indicated the funding would come out of the CIP. So that's still where the funding would come from for this effort. So ask for your approval to accept the proposal from RKC Wood Care Pros in the amount of $50,800.
Questions, comments from council?
So I've got some comments.
Mike.
Go ahead. Patrick, go.
Oh, Patrick.
Sorry, I'm just thinking it probably would be a good idea if we had Leslie sign a release in return for us doing that work, just so not any.
Yeah, okay, good idea. We'll also need her to sign a temporary access document that I have prepared. I didn't put it in the packet here, but yeah, it's a good suggestion, Patrick.
So if you can scroll back up to the map for a minute.
Yeah.
Had numerous conversations with Leslie. The scope of this, part of it, if you look at the lines that would be going east-west, so basically into her property, if you go out by that property, you will find out that Evergy, in addition to the massive metal telephone or power poles, did absolutely 0 favors, and actually almost looks like they went out their way to intentionally do this. I won't say that they did it intentionally. But the secondary wood power poles that are placed in her yard are placed exactly in line with those fence lines. So part of the reason for the needing to move and relocate the fence lines that are running east-west is because Evergy planted the wood poles in the fence lines that had been removed. And if you took a level and put a camera to it, you couldn't get it any better than what they did. So that's part of the scope change that happened in there. And Mike, the 23,000, was that the Galtney and Jansen?
Yeah, that was Galtney and, yeah.
So what's remaining of that after the Galtneys?
The Galtneys was a pretty small part of that. It was only about 3,500, I believe, of that.
Okay.
So, roughly
So what we would be approving tonight with the 50,000, we basically still got 20,000 that was approved towards this project.
Yeah, which has not
To
been.
where really it's an additional 30,000
That's,
on top of what has already been approved.
yeah, correct. That's correct.
So I wanted to make that point clear. Also, Leslie had some lessons tonight. She could not be here. Otherwise she would have, but she did send a text that this would be life-changing, a good way for a change for her. So getting her property back to where the horses can be there, restoring what Evergy, Atmos, the city had done, is a good move forward at this point, in my opinion.
Okay, any others? I agree. Time to move forward and put this to rest.
That I'll make a motion that we move to authorize the city administrator to accept the proposal from RKC Wood Care Pros in the amount of $50,800.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
If you could just note that,
With the proper releases from Leslie,
correct.
amended with the proper releases from Leslie.
Second.
All right.
Thanks.
The motion and a second has been amended. Brandon, roll call, please.
Lane.
Yes.
Monahan.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
McMorran.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right.
Back to
Yeah, back to
1D.
1D. Consider task order for the 2024 CDBG sidewalk design with BG Consult.
Yeah, I think, is this Brad, is this your topic? So when I was looking at this, I noticed it had the same schedule in it that the task order for BG to do the Waverly Trail design had, which is 3 months past notice to proceed to have preliminary plans in and to have it ready to go to bid 5 months after notice to proceed. And on the Waverly Trail project, we approved that at the first council meeting in December of 2004. And as of so conceptually, even say notice to proceed didn't occur until, say, the 1st of January, then preliminary plans should have been done by the end of March, and we should have been to bid by the end of May. And by the middle of May, they had not even yet turned in their preliminary design plans. And at this point, I've had a conversation with Joe, and Joe may have had a conversation with BG yet today, but we don't have a bid date yet. So they are past due on both of the milestones on the preliminary one. So given the track record for schedule compliance, I'm not sure that I would be confident in their capability to deliver this. One other aspect of when we picked BG over firms that were on-call at that point, Joe had got basically proposals from 2 of the on-calls, BG and PEC. We picked BG out of those. We didn't go through that process here. I'm not saying that we should, but I don't have confidence in BG being able to meet the schedule requirement while they're currently behind schedule on the Waverly Trail project.
Okay.
So,
Joe, can you add, have you heard anything from BG?
Yeah, we have a representative tonight that answers specific questions, but I'm talking with Jason with BG Consultants, and I think on the Waverly Road project, what set us back a little bit was winter and the ability to get the survey completed. So we're at about 90%. I've reviewed the plans, made comments.
Okay.
Working on the schedule right now to finalize comments and contract documents so we
Okay.
can get out to bid here in the next couple of weeks.
So if we were not to go with BG on this, I guess we would go to one of our other on-calls then, request a proposal from someone else?
Yeah, that's my understanding there.
Any other thoughts?
would BG like to address, if you're here, address the schedule?
I'd be happy to.
Oh, okay.
If the mayor's willing.
Sure, certainly, yeah. Come on up.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry, I missed that part of Joe's comment.
I'm sorry. Good evening, Mayor and council members, and certainly understand the frustration and the concern. I'm glad that came up and be happy to try to address this. You are correct. We are about a month behind from the 5-month time frame that was included in the task
Brandon's
order.
gonna need a name and address if you
Oh,
could.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Jason Hoskinson, engineer with BG Consultants. Yeah, and Joe kind of hit a little bit of that. We got notice to proceed in about mid-December, so right about 6 months ago from now. Right after the holidays, we got some pretty bad weather. We were set back a couple of months with snow, but by the time the first snow melted, we got another snow before we could mobilize our crews out there and get the survey completed. So that kind of pushed us back 2 months on our design. We couldn't do any design on that project without getting that survey first. In talking with Joe, and to maybe put your minds at ease, our design on Waverly Road is done. We're going through our final QC/QA, planning on submitting the final plans to Joe by Friday, and with the hopes of being out to bid, like Joe said, by the end of June, bid it late July, and come back to the council with bids on your first August meeting. So that's kind of where we're at with the Waverly Road project. I will say, yeah, we do have a very similar schedule in the CDBG project that you've got here for task order 11. With that one, we are not doing near as much survey. We will be able to start design tasks immediately. So I've got every bit of confidence we'll be ahead of schedule on that one. So. But I'd be happy to try to answer any other questions or concerns you might have.
All right, any questions for Jason?
So, since I'm out that direction, and I just noticed from when you were out there doing surveying, there was quite a lag between when there was bad weather. When did you get out and do survey on Waverly?
I think it was early March, I believe.
So it took from early March until early June to get a preliminary design done. So that would be
Our
March,
preliminary-
April, May.
Sorry.
That would be 3 months after survey to produce a preliminary design.
Our preliminary design, I believe, came to the city beginning part of May, early to mid-May.
I think the communication I had with Joe was the middle of May, and he was following up to see what the status of that was.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So March, April, May, it's about 3 months, which is on track with our task order that we
Your
agreed.
start would have been the beginning of March, not the beginning of January.
Correct. But that's what I'm saying, though, is the weather delayed us. We weren't able to survey. I mean, there was 8 to 10 inches of snow on the ground. And when that melted, we had more snow that came on top of that, and it all stayed. It didn't melt really fast. So I apologize for it taking as long as it did. We are on track to get it out to bid here this summer and built this fall, if that's the council's wishes and desires. It took us 6 months to basically get to where we're at a final design on a 5-month work order with 2 months of winter delay in the middle. I feel we're sitting in a reasonable spot for delivery for the council.
I guess, can you prepare a detailed schedule for the CDBG rather than just, all it has is 2 milestones. Preliminary plans in 3 months, be to bid in 5 months.
Okay.
Could you deliver to Joe a detailed schedule of when you will start, when the survey work will occur, when the intermediate milestones are, so that we have something to measure your progress against, rather than waiting for 3 months and then figuring out whether or not you're on schedule?
Sure. Yeah, we could do that.
BG has delivered, several other task orders for us, I think timely and successfully before. I think we put them on notice that we're going to be watching the schedule on
Sure.
this, right, Jason?
No, understood.
So we'll need to take this as an action item then, since
Yes,
I
we will.
raised the issue. I'll
Right.
make a motion to consider task order 11 with BG for the design of the 2024 CDBG sidewalk design on Commerce Drive, with the requirement to have a detailed schedule delivered to Joe Johnson within 2 weeks.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lane.
Yes.
Hanamichael.
Yes.
Daniels.
Yes.
McMorrin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Item 4G, budget discussion.
Budget discussion, it's that time of year, isn't it, council? We have budget discussions at the end of each agenda, maybe now for through August. So you remember the last time we presented the general fund, which is kind of the biggest budgetary fund that we have to consider. Lots of taxing implications there, revenue protection implications. Presented the baseline budget of that one, the law enforcement fund, and the debt service fund the last year. The two next biggest funds are the water and the sewer funds, and these are the funds that are supported by revenues, commodity service charges. So, like the general fund, there's a lot of uncertainty about projections of revenues and projections of expenditures that tie directly to really the big fish in the pond being Panasonic, and how soon they'll start production operations and what sorts of water they will consume, what sorts of wastewater they will deliver back to us. Also in that mix is the commissioning of essentially a brand new water treatment facility and a significantly expanded wastewater treatment facility, and the commissioning of a major regional pumping facility on the wastewater side, and another pump station there, the Flint pump station. So there's quite a bit of uncertainty, like we talked about last time about all things, the revenues and expenditures there. But we do know that long term, 4 or 5 years from now, the water usage profile for the entire city is going to be drastically different than a usual municipal water profile. Usually those are dominated by residential users and commercial users that have certain peaks and valleys daily and seasonally. We're going to have, we're projecting next year about a 75% increase in the water service demand, and almost all of that increase is Panasonic, and that's a much different user than that amount of residential or commercial uses. So what it does mean for us is kind of a certainty of revenue stream at a scale that I'm confident will allow us to consider moderation of utility rates. And we're not ready to really say that we're going to lower rates by X%, but I think I can confidently say that with a higher level of demand, that consistent revenue stream coming in, it will, if nothing else, moderate the per gallon charge that we have to use. So the struggle point we're in now is that we have these big projects going on. We have service demands of the existing customer base, but then also increased demands associated with the construction of facilities, the coordination with Panasonic as they ramp up, commissioning of the new facilities that causes kind of a spike in chemicals feeds. We have to get the chemicals on board to commission those things. And so as a result, the fund balance, in the water fund and the sewer fund isn't necessarily increasing year over year currently. And we'll show those to you in the projections. But I don't want to, I think we can make some certain adjustments in terms of transfers to the general fund and other personnel acquisitions that we planned for this year, delaying those for next year so that the revenues can start to increase in 2026. So that's kind of a long-winded introduction to our common practice here during the budget discussions of showing you within the staff report this spreadsheet. I know you can't really read it on the screen, but we kind of budget on this 5-year projection schedule on the water and sewer. So I do want to go over a couple of points of emphasis that I outlined in the staff report. We'll start with water. Like we said, for the 2025 budget, current year, the first challenge is to figure out where we are currently, where we think we're going to be by the end of 2025, so we can have a starting point for these 2026 discussions. So last year at this time, we were looking at 2025, And we were thinking that we would get about $2.3 million in baseline revenues, we'll call them, just from the existing previous users and growth of the city, plus an additional $1.5 million in increased revenues just from Panasonic. Because we thought at that time that the facility would have production lines online right now, 2 or 3 production lines, and moving toward 4 to 6 by the end of the year. That clearly didn't happen. We don't yet have production started. That's slated for next month with 1 production line, and we're told after constant communication coordination with folks at Panasonic that they'll increase their production capacity over the rest of this year to possibly have at least 3 production lines online. So rather than the 1.5, we've really only collected about 75,000 so far. So we've lowered our expected Panasonic revenues for this year to $300,000. And most of that will take place in the last couple months as they have the most production occurring. The 2.3 baseline revenues that we project, we're about online to meet those. So that seemed like it was a good projection. Wasn't conservative, but it looks like we're about online to meet those. As I just said, if we just look at Panasonic revenues, the 25 projections lower to $300,000. For the 26 budget, when we were looking at this last year, we were thinking they're going to be using almost 1.5 million gallons of water a day. In the middle of this year. Current projections, we're going to lower that so that in 2026 we're going to go from a usage of about 400,000 gallons a day up to about 750,000 gallons a day by the end of 2026. So that would equate to a revenue in that fund of just over $1 million. So again, to remain very conservative, for 26, I'm only showing a Panasonic revenues of $650,000. The tune is probably familiar. We talked about the same stuff with the franchise revenues in the general fund. So moving on from the projections 27 through 31 in the 5 years out years, once they're in full operation, they'll need a little over 1 million gallons of water a day. So that'll equate to about a revenue of about almost $3 million. But to remain conservative, we project that at $2 million. So on the water service charge rate, no proposed rate increase in the 26 budget. And as we said before, there's an opportunity, I think, in the out years to maybe even moderate the water rates a bit. Not proposing that yet, but the 5-year projections do include a 1% rate reduction for each of the 5 years in that projection, for a total of 5% over the 5 years. But again, that's kind of just a placeholder. I think more than anything, it's an indication of the goal, the aim of this next phase of the water plant operation. And of course, we need to every month we need to monitor these things to make sure that we're hitting those targets. So on the expense part, if you look at the spreadsheets, we have as we did last year, we've kind of separated the baseline budget with the regular kind of growth projections from the additional budget items that we're going to have to account for to make all this water that we're going to be selling to Panasonic. So I've shown those separately in the spreadsheets. So in terms of those variable cost items with the increase in need to treat water, it'll increase the water demand by about 74% on an annual basis. So we're going to have corresponding increases in commodities like chemicals and utilities are the two biggest ones. Also on the personnel side, so when we had we did the budget for 2025, it included the possibility of 2 new positions in the water department. One was a water distribution maintenance worker, and the other one was a plant operator. But both of those were kind of contingent on getting this added revenue from Panasonic this year. That hasn't happened, so we're not hiring those positions this year. The 26 budget includes the addition of 1 person, and then the other person would be included in the 27 projection. Of course, we're not authorizing 27 budget, but the 26 budget just one person, and I'm kind of I'm not saying that's a maintenance worker or a plant operator. I'm just saying it's a person. We'll know when we get there what type of person we're going to need there. But that's for the 26 budget, and again, 27 again would be a second position. So those are also shown separately. Vehicles and equipment, for the distribution worker, we're going to need another vehicle, so that includes that as well.
Can I ask a question while you're on the personnel one? So, in the sentence about the staff was based on revenue, what is the requirement in terms of personnel to operate the new plant? Isn't that,
Well,
can we afford to not have that person if the staff required to operate the new plant is?
there's still only one. There's only one water operator required to operate the plant at any given time. Just needs one.
Just need one person.
Just
Okay.
one person out there. The revenues are directly related to how much water you use, and so the added person's going to mean we go from a 10 to 12-hour day to an 18-hour day.
Okay.
It's that.
So it is a function of capacity, and then therefore the revenue follows the.
Directly recorded.
But
Yeah.
But baseline, you don't need additional staff.
You don't need.
Okay.
Yep. The other big part of the water maintenance budget is this transfer to the water maintenance fund. So we've had this water maintenance fund for a number of years, throwing money into it each year. It's really for kind of an asset management program, replacing old water mains, and kind of a holistic approach to that. For the 2025 budget, what we have is a historic transfers from the water department budget to the maintenance fund, somewhere around $40,000. That's kind of historic. Before Panasonic even came around, we kind of had that ongoing. In the 2025 budget, we're showing an additional $50,000. Well, as with the other revenues, that hasn't happened. So my projections do not show that additional transfer to that maintenance fund this year. We're still do include the $45,000 traditional, but not the added. Because of the lower revenue projections for next year, the additional Panasonic transfer, there won't be one proposed for 2026. So no additional this year, no additional next year. The $45,000 per year kind of baseline will still occur, so there'll still be funding in that fund. It's just we're not going to be able to really start that significant increase, which if you'll see in the projections, starting in 2027, once the plant's fully operational and we're providing 1 million plus gallons of water to them a day, I think there's a good possibility to contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars to that fund. The projections here that you see have $300,000 per year, starting in 2027 and on.
So would the water maintenance, or would the actual funds needed to maintenance the water solutions actually not necessarily need the bump in the next year or two, considering the facilities are actually new and therefore not aging quite the way our old systems were aging?
Yeah, no, that's exact. Yeah,
So that's kind of an offset
part of it.
factor in there as well.
And mostly, I think what we've contemplated the water maintenance fund. It's distribution as well, and clearly that's the biggest need now, right? And so it's kicking the can a little bit, but you're right with the new facilities.
There's a little offset.
Yeah, there's offset there. Hard to quantify that. So projections here. This chart shows It's kind of funny looking. It's a little bit weird because the fund balances go up quite a bit in the out years, but the balance as a percentage of operating expenses kind of level off, at that 30 to 35% level, which is what our fiscal policy is targeting. But you will see, for 2025, we're projecting to end the year down around 22, 23, under the fiscal policy. For this year, and the 2026 just barely gets you to 30. That's what the proposed budget does. So, as kind of indicated in the beginning, I think the funds are in a little bit of a struggle the next couple years because of the activities, because of the costs associated with the new facilities and commissioning them. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think we need to drastically change the operations or drastically increase rates to accommodate this. It's really 1 year of, and these are still, again, projections. So that chart looks a little different than the general fund.
And these projections don't include any potential additional water usage of other developments, because
yeah.
that's an unknown that we're not calculating. So there, I mean, this could continue to flux year after year based upon what other development opportunities look at DeSoto.
Yeah. It certainly doesn't include any current major user. It does include a little bit of kind of baseline growth. We were going up through 2 or 3% just in the city, so it did include some of that, but not like you're thinking, not like.
But with 350 acres at Flint available, with 2,400 acres at Astra available, a big user coming in there, this is going to be a flux discussion where it's constantly we're trying to figure this out year on year if another major development comes in.
Yep.
So.
Kind of the same on the sewer fund. Again, I won't go over all the same stuff, but the revenues on the revenue side, again, Panasonic hasn't really started any sort of. They have a little bit. We haven't even billed them yet. It's about $8,000 worth of sewer flows over the last 6 months or so. Get them a bill out here soon, but we did budget a 2.5 rate increase for the sewer system for 2025. And I am going to recommend that we implement that change just because of the revenue projection picture. Panasonic revenues, again, they're down substantially. We thought they've only discharged $2.5 million total, or 2.5 million gallons so far. We've lowered the expected 25 revenues from 450,000 down to 125,000. So that just kind of the same story, but the numbers are a little bit lower. For the 2026 budget, suggests sewer discharge average about 250,000 gallons a day throughout the year. So that'll equate to added revenue, Panasonic, of about $300,000 fund. And so we've also shown kind of those moderate, conservative, not moderate. I mean, $400,000 in the sewer fund is quite a bit annually throughout the projections. So there is an additional 2.5% sewer rate increase proposed in the proposed 26 budget. Again, I mean, that's less than kind of the inflationary commodity charges. It's less than inflation. It's very much, it's a very modest increase in the scheme of things. That is programmed in. And of course, this is, again, we'll have to monitor these projections closely. Again, we have on the expense side, again, we have variable cost items that we'll keep an eye on. Again, about 75% increase in the amount of wastewater flow that we're going to have to treat over the course of 2026. The 25 budget included the addition of a sewer plant operator. Again, we're going to forego that. We've put it in the 26 budget in anticipation of the sewer flows increasing. It's the same story as well. We only need one operator, but we might just have to operate more than the hours per day that we're doing now. Similar story on the transfer to sewer maintenance fund. So the 25 projections don't include any additional transfer to the sewer maintenance fund. The baseline budget of $45,000 will be made. 26 budget shows an extra $25,000 transfer to that. Then starting in 27, we'll be able to increase those to a more significant level. Here's the 5-year projections on it. It's small on this chart, but kind of the same story. The 25 projections, 26 projections kind of go down. Year-end fund balance as a percentage of operating expenses. Bottom out here at about 30% in 2027, which is kind of the target. And this line doesn't change, even though the fund balance is going way up. As a function of the expenses, that percentage remains about where our target is. So that's really all I had to present on the water and sewer. Again, we'll walk the road together. It's going to be kind of a month look at it, and we'll have similar challenges next year, I'm sure. So I'll stop there.
Question for Mike.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, well, thanks for your attention. And we'll get, so next time will be all the other funds. So we'll have those myriad of the, all the other ones. So electric reserve and refuse, and so we'll have a look at those. And we might also touch on the CIP again. We haven't really begun our online engagement, the feedback part, but by, here in the next couple of weeks, we will do that. We won't, have a conclusion to that, I don't think, by the next meeting, but we'll be able to kind of talk about that again. Incorporate some of that into the general fund and debt service.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
No executive session tonight, so we will go to advisory reports. Mike?
Nothing tonight. Thanks.
All right. Patrick, anything for the council tonight?
Nothing, thank you.
Brad, anything for council?
No, Mayor.
Joe?
I don't have anything tonight?
Brandon?
I'll break the form, I guess. Just two quick things. There's still funding available in the property tax relief fund, so if you know anybody that's interested in that program, there's still about 10 grand sitting in that fund. And then the work has started on the Sunflower Road Trail. If you've been out there, you've noticed I've been pulling up all the old light poles from Astra, so that's supposed to be completed by mid-September.
Okay.
With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for Brandon? All right. Council comments. Danny, anything for the group?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Victoria? Rob?
Since we're mentioning trails and sidewalks, the sidewalk at 91st and Sunflower on the northern side by Merck, right as you go to make that turn, has collapsed. I mean, quite literally gone
Okay.
down like that, right where the sewer, the 5 mile sewer went through.
We'll get with Kissick.
What's that?
We'll get with Kissick on that.
Yeah, and I'll show you a picture, but I mean, it's dropped probably 2 to 3 feet.
On the northeast side?
Yeah, that northeast side, right about where his cursor is.
Here?
Yep.
Yep.
That's where, they replaced that section.
Yep. So
Huh. All right.
that's my only comment on that one tonight.
Kevin?
Just on the street light at 95th and Lexington, I think we talked about that at the last meeting. The light has not been put back up there. Did you check on that?
Yeah, I sent it out, I sent an email out to Matt with Evergy.
Okay.
I need to, he responded, I need to get back with them. Cause I turned it to temporary pole for 4 or 5 years, keep out like a temporary pole for a month. Like, it needs to be, this red light pole until we improve the intersection.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll
Very good.
verify with them so we can get that ordered and put in.
Thank you. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. One item on my list, I sent you all out an email regarding our council vacancy. So I'd like to formally present Rhonda Patterson as my candidate to fill that vacancy. Unfortunately, Rhonda couldn't be here tonight, but I was able to share her resume, and she did provide some little introductory comments I wanted to share with you all. So Rhonda has over 20 years' experience in community outreach, partnership development, and strategic leadership. She brings a proven track record of turning ideas into action, and she's a longtime DeSoto resident and current chair of the DeSoto Days Festival. So through those efforts, she's built strong relationships with our residents, city leaders, and our local businesses. Her professional background in business development and public engagement, paired with volunteer service on school site councils and facility committees, has given her insight into the challenges and opportunities facing our community. Rhonda's passionate about community-focused, transparent communication, thoughtful growth, and ensuring DeSoto remains a welcoming and vibrant place for all. So with that, I would ask for your approval of Rhonda's appointment to fill the vacancy on the DeSoto City Council.
Yes, Mayor, I will make a motion to approve.
Actually, can we have comments first, please?
Sure.
because I'm actually going to make a motion that we table the vote until the July 3rd meeting when she is here, and that we can actually have a chance to ask questions. Furthermore, it's an elected position normally, and there's a level of transparency that hasn't happened here. We've had the name for less than 72 hours. It was not published in the council agenda to where the people and the residents have been asking what's happening with that seat, have had no indication or notice that a name was coming forward and or going to be voted on. Furthermore, I have reached out to Rhonda, and I did let her know my intent on this, but reached out to talk with her, and she's had a very busy week. So we have a time scheduled to meet on Friday, but she was not able to meet before the meeting. And so for those council members that would like a chance to actually talk to her, that could not happen before council meeting. And therefore, I think it'd be appropriate to give that opportunity for those people that would like to. So with that, I'm gonna actually request.
I had started a
Yeah,
motion.
Kevin had a motion already in works, so I think we would need to let him run his motion first.
But normally we have comment time too.
Well, there's also that period for discussion after a motion has been made.
Right.
You know, there's motion, second, further discussion, so there is an opportunity in there.
Okay.
So, yeah, I will continue on with my motion to approve the mayor's appointment of Rhonda Patterson, effective at the end of this meeting, and for her to start at the next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I think it appropriate that we have a chance to actually meet her, discuss her, and follow up with her. And that our residents actually have a chance to give feedback based upon the name being provided. There's a level of transparency that should be.
I think she's a well-known person, has been very, very active in the community. I think it was an excellent candidate. So I think in terms of, you know, it's not an unknown, it's definitely a very well-known person. That was a great candidate. So.
I'm not denying that she may be a good candidate. I'm just saying there should be opportunity.
No, and I'm saying that's why I'm comfortable with proceeding.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't get a call or email or question from anybody about where I was at in the process, other than those that had expressed an interest in the position. And I was forthcoming with those folks that so that they wouldn't be blindsided by this meeting if they threw the name out there and reached out to me to ask for consideration, that made sure that they knew that I was planning to make the recommendation for Rhonda. So, any other comments?
Yeah, I agree with, I think you made a very good choice. And I've known her for many years. And she's proven herself with the city of DeSoto for very many years. And she's been very diligent in all the jobs she's taken on, you know, so I'm very comfortable with
Thank you.
the choice. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with waiting. I mean, she's not even here right now. So let's waiting another week so people can talk to her. Rhonda, I think she's a great choice. My thing is, I know her on a personal level. I don't know her on the city council level, so I think she's a great choice.
I think she'll be a good choice. I just think we should have a chance to vet. And if we vote tonight versus July 3rd, we can still vote July 3rd. She can still be sworn in, seated, and take effect at the same time that she would already be.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see the difference. So, I mean, if
I don't think she's going to be interviewed by
Right, we're not going to
people who are attending the meeting. So we all know her. We all know who she is. I mean, it's not like people get to interview her for it.
Right.
So I don't know what. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what the difference would be, and
I guess-
whether it's at a personal level or community involvement level, or we know who she is.
known
And
commodity.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interject, I just wanted to let the council know that if the the motion to approve fails, by statute, we're required to bring back a resolution for your vote indicating that she was unfit or unqualified. So,
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. I think we have a motion, a second, and have discussed the motion, so I can call, roll call, please, now.
Lane,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes on Rhonda, and no on process, but yes.
McMorrin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, that's the last item I have tonight. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.